Welcome back to the Shifting Schools podcast. I'm so excited that our new sponsor, TextBlaze, has sent us Dan to talk about TextBlaze today and how it can save time for educators. That's really what we're focused on here, is giving time back to educators. And once again, thanks TextBlaze for being a sponsor of Shifting Schools. You can go to textblaze.me/shiftingschools to get started today. But let's hear a little bit about the background, about how TextBlaze came to be, what are some of the tips and tricks, if you will, for educators, and we'll get into that. So Dan, thank you for joining us today on the podcast. It's so great to have you here.
Thanks for having me, Jeff. I'm excited to be here.
So let's get started with a little bit of the background. We talked a little bit before I clicked record, and I kind of like this. So you were not the founder, but you came on with the co-founders and helped them kind of get TextBlaze started. Talk about how this all came to be.
Yeah. So I'll admit that it didn't start with education in mind, but I quickly evolved into that. Scott, my co-founder, and I worked together at Google. He was an engineering manager. I was a product manager. We created productivity software for sales, support, marketing teams. And we saw firsthand the need for a tool like TextBlaze, because regardless of how good your tools are, there's always friction. There's always repetitive typing, copy and pasting. The tools can't be 100% perfect fit for the way you would like to do your work. And so Scott left Google and started TextBlaze as a side project. And I was advising him while still working at Google. It's hard to leave Google.
Yeah.
But then I got very excited about TextBlaze and the potential of it, and I joined full time. And then, we went through Y Combinator and raised our seed round, and here we are.
Here you are. So when did it get started? Like how long has TextBlaze been around?
So we incorporated in 2019.
Okay.
And it grew organically.
Yeah.
Through word of mouth. That's our main growth engine. And started slowly, and then it picked up after that. And it's really nice. Like, our fastest growing vertical is education. It's really nice to see the value that it provides to teachers. It's funny, both Scott and I have parents who are teachers.
Okay.
And so it's really great for us to see that it drives so much value for teachers and help teachers save so much time.
Yeah, and I think that was the first thing that I thought of too when I found it. I was just like, wow, this is going to be incredible. So many different ways that teachers can use it. So I'm going to try and explain a little bit about TextBlaze, and then you jump in and tell me, and feel free to fill in any of the gaps. So basically what it is, for those of you who don't know yet, it is a Chrome extension that sits inside of your Chrome browser. And then when you sign up for an account, you go over to the TextBlaze website and you can create shortcuts or short cues, if you will, that you can then use anywhere inside of the Chrome browser. So you can use it in Google Docs. You can use it to leave comments in Google Docs. You can use it for any repetitive type of things you might be posting in Google Classroom. I love it from my standpoint of what I work. Using it in Gmail has been a game changer. I've got like 4 standard emails that are responses that I usually end up sending. And rather than take time to, write those out all the time, it's like 4 keystrokes and the entire email is written for me. So basically you can create these short little clips. You write a couple keystrokes and boom, it'll write out the entire comment, the entire email, what you need for it. So how'd I do? How was that, Dan? Was that pretty good?
That was perfect. Yes, it's very simple text replacement. You serve a blurb of text, assign a keyboard shortcut to it, and then every time you type the keyboard shortcut, it gets replaced with that blurb of text, which can be anywhere between a word, a sentence, to a full email, even a full document. We have people using it to create full documents. The one thing I would say, it's a Chrome extension first and foremost. We also have a Windows app, desktop app. So if you need to use it outside of the browser, there's a way to do it as well.
Awesome. See, I don't work on a Windows, so I don't even check that part out. So that's great, though. It's good to know, because I know we have a lot of school districts that are on Microsoft and Windows as well. So that's really cool. What are some of the ways that, I think, with your parents, you said are teachers? What are some of the kind of interesting ways, or maybe cool ways that you've seen this be used inside education?
So it starts like people get value from it. People in education get value from it immediately. Like even with simple text replacements. Now it can go well beyond that, and I'll describe it in a minute how you can go beyond simple text replacement using TextBlaze. But if you think about it, if you write a report card, feedback about an essay, or email, you want to make sure that it's personal and relevant for that specific student. But the text you write tends to be repetitive. Like you decide what text to write, but the sentences themselves, the pieces of feedback themselves, tend to overlap with other students. And so with TextBlaze, you can write your scoring rubrics or your common feedback items, and then decide which one you want to include and include them very quickly with keyboard shortcuts. And you end up creating relevant personal feedback that is accurate and complete, has all the relevant information really within seconds, and you save a lot of time. And so a lot of teachers, that's the way that they use TextBlaze for report cards or feedback on essays or whatever tests. And they just have their commonly used feedback phrases or feedback rubrics, and they trigger them with keyboard shortcuts. Now, the more advanced teachers take it a step further. So the nice thing about TextBlaze is that it can do more than just insert plain text. It allows you to turn those text templates, we call them snippets, into dynamic smart templates that you can customize in real time. The way you do that is you add things like text, like form fields to your snippets. Form fields are placeholders that allow you to provide information in real time. So, for example, you have a text box for the student name, or you have a drop-down menu that allows you to select the specific feedback that you want to provide. Add rules to it. So TextBlaze allows you to add rules, if-then statements, to control the content of the snippet that gets inserted. So you can do, and we see teachers doing things like, your score is text field that allows you to insert the test score. And then there's a rule that says if the score is below a certain number, say, unfortunately, you didn't pass the test, and so on. If it's above the threshold, say, congratulations, you passed the test. And so you can templatize really advanced feedback, add placeholder, add rules, and really create specific and personal feedback very, very quickly. And so, what we see teachers doing is what I described. We have the ability to create toggles. So a toggle is a piece of the text that you decide in real time, do I want to include it or not? And teachers create long snippets with many toggles, and then in real time decide, okay, I want to include this piece of feedback, but not this one. And then I do want to include this other one. And it allows them to construct pretty long and personal feedback very, very quickly. And so we're always surprised. We meet with a lot of our users that are teachers or people in education, and it's always heartwarming to see kind of the advanced way that they use TextBlaze, how they use TextBlaze to save even more time, to improve the quality of the communication or the feedback. we're always surprised and delighted to see the way that they use TextBase.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing for everybody to remember who's listening to this is like the goal of this is to save you time. And I just love some of those examples you gave. I could see where you could, like, I'm just thinking as you are talking about this, where if I had a rubric, I would take a little bit of time and I would load all those statements into into different toggles and then be able to give feedback after I read the essay, be able to give feedback and say, toggle that one on, toggle that one on, toggle that one off, toggle this one on. And boom, that's feedback for that kid rather than having to write out or highlight on the rubric what parts they're at, why this is a 3, why that's a 4, for example. The other thing I was thinking of, and this just dawned on me because I was a 4th grade teacher, is one of the things was I always was forgetting to remind parents to send their swimming suits with their students on days that we had swimming. And I'm just thinking, and this is like even before there was LMSs and Google Classroom and stuff, but I'm thinking like if you're in Google Classroom, how great would it be just to set up one of those statements, right? You just set up a statement. It's something you have to write twice a week that you're just putting out there, reminding kids to bring their swimming suits on Tuesdays and Thursdays to be able, instead of write that email or write that update in Google Classroom, you just go in, you click a couple buttons and everything's there. Don't forget your swimming suit. Don't forget your flip-flops. Don't forget your towel. Instead of having to write it all the time, being able to just have a couple keystrokes of something that is repetitive. And I like that, like that first lens is, what is something that I write a lot that is repetitive? How can I have TextBlaze start replacing some of that and giving me time back? Because we don't understand, I think, how much time we spend just doing keystrokes like that are the same repetitive tasks. Or I used to say, reduce your clicks. Every time you touch your mouse and you got to click here, then click there, then click over here, then click back over there. They seem like microseconds, but they all add up to time that you're doing. So I just think there's some great ways to do that.
And it starts with the simple stuff. So one of an educator that's a user, the snippet that she uses the most is just please give me access to this file. So a lot of files are shared with her. She doesn't have access, so it's a very short snippet. The one that I use the most is, please let me know if you have any questions. I have very sophisticated snippets, but the one that I use the most is just that. There are two capabilities of TextBase that we see being used in education that help save time, but also improve the quality. So the one that helps save time is what we call autopilot. A lot of times you need to fill out information in a form or in a table, the score for every question and then the total score, or feedback for every specific question. TextBase can help you automate that as well. So not just the text typing, but also the moving between fields or selecting from drop downs and so on. Everything that you can do with your keyboard, for example, moving between text fields with the tab key, you can instruct TextBase to do it for you. So you can create a snippet that does, type the score of question number 1, then click tab, move to the next field, type the score of question number 2, and so on. And so, and it's really nice to see. You click a keyboard shortcut and you start seeing TextBase fill out the form for you or fill out the table for you, which is pretty awesome to see. And it saves you, again, like those are the clicks that you're talking about.
Yeah, right.
The moving and clicking around.
Yeah.
The other thing is collaboration. So, teachers love often to create kind of feedback rubrics, scoring rubrics, and use them across classes. TextBase is really great at doing that because one user, one teacher can create, feedback for a specific task or assignment, and then share those snippets with their colleagues. Very cool. So then everyone can use the same snippets and everyone speak the same voice, provide the same feedback, and also save time on creating those scoring rubrics. And so you can have one teacher responsible for a specific assignment or task, create all the snippets that are required for that specific assignment or task, share it with everyone, and then you align on feedback rubrics, you align on the language, and everyone saved some time in the process.
You just blew my mind with that. I was just like thinking, oh my gosh, with common assessments coming here at the end of the year, how cool would it be that you sat down as a team, you decide what to put into TextBlaze, make sure you've got all the wording right, and you sit down and do it as a team, and boom, everybody. And does it share? Like, is it like I'm just thinking like a Google Doc share? You just put in people's email addresses, they have a TextBlaze account, and it shows up, shows up
Exactly.
in their
Yes,
dashboard
they
as well.
need to. Yeah, you just share it with their email addresses. You can. It's similar to a Google Doc where you give them permission.
Sure.
You can make them viewers, and then they can see the snippet. They can use the
Okay.
snippet, but they can make changes to them. Or you can make them editors,
Oh,
and then
cool.
they can add their own snippets or change the snippets. And there are a lot of features to support safe collaboration. But then it becomes like a shared Google Doc where multiple people can make edits to it.
That's very cool. One of the things that I really like, maybe you can talk about this, is the ability, and I maybe you already covered this, and I just don't have the terminology for it. But one of the things that I've used it for is it'll write the email for me, and then it'll also place the cursor where I need to put the person's name.
Yeah.
So it like writes the email, and then the cursor goes and says, right here, add the student's name, or right here, add the person's name. And you can actually tell it to not just like fill in the text, but then also put the cursor. So again, saves me keystrokes of going over, grabbing my mouse, going back up, clicking exactly where I needed to. Which to me, I was just like, that was mind blowing to me.
I would say with text. So our goal with TextBlaze is to help you streamline all the low value work. Our users, educators should focus on educating and making the decisions, and then all the repetitive typing, the low value work, the copy and pasting and so on should be automated for them. So you give a very good example of that, which is you type something and then you want to place the cursor because you want to continue typing from that point. That's one capability of TextBlaze. There are many others. I'll list a few, but I think one of the nicest thing about TextBlaze is that you get a lot of value from it immediately. So you start saving time immediately. And then if you want to become more sophisticated and try to automate larger portions of your work, TextBlaze is there for you, and it can really help you streamline a lot of your work.
Yeah.
And the more you invest in it, the more value you get from it, but you get a lot of value up front. Some of the things that it can do, sometimes you write an email for someone, as you said,
right,
and you want to place the cursor, you say hi, empty space, and then the rest of the email, and you want to place the cursor after the hi to write the person's name. In many tools, every tool, TextBlaze can read content of the page and place it inside the snippet. So for example, if you're in Google Classroom or Gmail and the name of the recipient is there, you can place the cursor and type it after you insert the snippet. But you can also tell TextBlaze, hey, the person's name is here on the page. Please include it, read it, and put it inside the snippet. And it will automatically do it for you.
Wow.
And so the moving of the data around, copying it and using it in the snippet, TextBlaze can do a lot of that for you.
Wow. I'm just like, my mind is just going wild on different ways. And what I love what you said, it is, you start with the simple little things like, do you have any questions? Like, how many times do we say that? Or even just like signing off. One of the very first things I set up for me personally, because, I consult with human resources, I consult with parent community, I consult with educational communities and school districts. And so I wanted to customize my signature for those different communities. And I can do it in Gmail. In Gmail, I can set up different signatures. Then I have to go down. I have to change. I have to grab my mouse, go down, click on what signature I want. So instead, I was like, well, this will be a really cool thing. So I go to TextBlaze. I set up 3 different signatures. And then I'm typing the email. And at the end of the email, as I'm typing the email, at the end of the email, I just add the signature that is needed without taking my hands off the keyboard. And that's what you're talking about. Like, it was such a simple task that I'm just like, oh my gosh, I wish I had some way to do these little things. And then you start to say, okay, well, what else can it do? And I love that it is such a low entry point of changing just little things to get you started. to get into it, and then from there being able to really look at some of the automation on what this can do. So just think about what is that email that you hate to write all the time, or that one thing that you wish you just had a quick snippet that you could add to things, and start with that. Start with the low hanging fruit, and then start to ramp it up from there. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Two things I would say about that. One is we have a snippet example that, again, was taken from one of our users that automatically, based on the time of the day, will write either good morning or good evening.
Oh,
like you
man.
type one keyboard shortcut, and then the TextBlaze knows the time of the day, and it will write the relevant greeting. The other thing I would say is, different teachers, of course, are very busy. You have more important things to do than learn how to use TextBlaze in more advanced ways. But then some people are more curious about those type of things and love to explore TextBlaze. What works very well is having a champion within the school, or a group of champions within the school that are more interested in exploring TextBlaze in a more advanced way. We love to work with those people. We're happy to come in and do a training for the entire school and just help everyone get started. But then we are also happy to work closely with potentially a smaller group of people and help them learn the more advanced features of TextBlaze, and then they can be a resource for the entire school. And we have a lot of self-learn documentation, guides, videos, and so on. But we also have a team designed to help our users and teachers succeed. And so we're always happy to come in, understand the needs, help you get the most out of TextBlaze, and then also help you in the process learn how to use it, so you can use it to get as much value from it as possible moving forward.
Yeah, and we have a ton of tech coaches that listen to this podcast. So tech coaches, tech integrationalists, head over there to textblaze.me/shifting schools, set up your free account and start playing with this so you can then show your teachers how to do it as well. One of the things I do love is over on the website, you have a page that is dedicated to teachers. So that's at blaze.today/teachers. We'll make sure that is in the show notes for people that want to go over there. There's some great videos, some great templates to get you started, some just ideas to kind of get things flowing. But I also notice right here at the top, education discount, 50% off a business plan for all teachers. Thank you for supporting educators. So you can get started with free. Just to let people know, it is free to get started. You can get started with free. You have up to 20 snippets before you make up to 2,500 characters in a snippet. But the business plan, which is 50% off, is usually $7 a month. So that's like $3.50 a month-ish, something like that. You think about how much time something like this can save you. Totally worth $3.50 a month. I mean, it's just incredible, especially it's just those repetitive tasks that give me my time back. I want to be spending time with students. I don't want to be spending time crafting the same email to parents, or crafting that same email because a student, was absent. Make a snippet. It's the same email. You can put in the drop downs. Here's the assignment you need. Here's what you need to do, and then get back to being doing the work that we want to be doing as educators. So really appreciate that. Really appreciate everything that TextBlaze is doing to support educators. I love that you didn't start out. I mean, we see this a lot, actually, that businesses start out not thinking about education, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, wow, this is amazing. Look at the way all these incredible educators are using our product. And it's so great that you are supporting that by giving 50% off a business plan as well. So
no, yeah, absolutely. And the free version is free forever.
Yeah.
There's no limit on how much you use it. As you said, there's a limit on the number of snippets you can save, but you can use those snippets as many times as you want, and you can stay on the free plan forever. There are a lot of educators that get a lot of value from the free plan. And then, yes, we understand school budgets. We want to make sure that people that are interested in TextBlaze, the beyond the free version, and see the value of it, people in, educators, we want to make sure that cost is not the decisive factor. So we have that 50% discount. And the one thing I would say is just reach out to us, talk to us. We will make sure that you're getting your money's worth.
I like that. That's great. Well, Dan, thank you so much for spending time with us here today and explaining. I mean, my mind, I want to hang up and go play now. I've got like 10 more things I want to go and make snippets about. I've only used 4 of my free 20 at the point. So I want to get in and play with some more. I'm just thinking about the forms. I'm like, okay, what is that email where I can just like boom, 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 boom. And then it creates it for me. I spend too much time in my inbox. See, I'm already thinking like, how do I get out of my inbox? And that's by setting up some snippets. So thank you to you and TextBlaze. Yeah, go ahead.
Just one thing I wanted to mention in terms of resources. You mentioned Blaze.today/teachers. It's kind of a landing page for teachers. When you're in the dashboard, when you sign up, when you're in the dashboard, there's a link to our gallery, which is our snippet gallery. You have a lot of examples there. There's a category for education, and there are snippets examples there. There are user stories. So, as I mentioned, we talk to a lot of our users in education, and we try to capture some of the ways they use TextBlaze. So a lot of great resources in the gallery as well to kind of find ideas for how to use TextBlaze. I'm sure you would like it, Jeff.
Perfect. So, well, thank you. Thank you again to you, Dan, and to TextBlaze for being a sponsor of Shifting Schools and supporting our Shifting Schools community. To the over 10,000 monthly listeners out there, please head over to textblaze.me/shifting schools. Set up your free account. It's free. Get started. See what happens. Even if it only saves you a few seconds a day, those are a few seconds back. But I know you're going to find so much more value out of this great resource. Spending time out of our computers and with our students. That's what we're trying to do. That's what TextBlaze is about. Eliminating repetitive work anywhere that you see it happening on your computer screen and get back to being with kids. Dan, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate you giving up some of your time. Thank you for listening to today's episode. Just a reminder, you can save $25 on any of our learning pathways at shiftingschools.com by using the code SSPOD25 at checkout. If you like today's show, or if you have something you'd like us to talk about, send us an email at info@shiftingschools.com. And of course, rates and reviews are always appreciated. Until next time, we'll see you on the network.